Okay, question 18. So very similar to 17. It's just practicing doing things based looking at marginal and looking at marginal and then looking at total absorption, full absorption, if you like. So let's jump in. So what do we see? The first question says we have some selling prices, prime costs, and then variable costs. So these are all variable, all of these. And the question says, first of all, just look at this, on a marginal sort of assessment. And the selling price here is 12, and the variable production, of course, is the full variable cost, which is the 4 and the 3, and that's of course the 7. So your contribution per unit, of course, from a variable point of view is 5. 12 minus 7 is 5. Then when we look at on a fixed or full absorption, forgive me, we must absorb the fixed costs. So you are budgeting fixed costs of 30,000 a month, and your production, remember it's based on production, like in the previous question, is 15,000 units. Therefore, you will put in for every unit that you make as you prepare your management reports, you will put in £2 there. So what you now have here is 12 as before. The marginal cost is your variable cost, which of course is the 4 plus the 3. You have your fixed production costs, of course, which is the 30,000 divided by the 15,000, which is of course equal to the £2. So in effect, what you now have is a full cost of um, the um, the 7 and the 2, making a total of 9, really in effect, giving you a full absorption cost there of 9, and therefore your profit, of course, per unit is 3. 12 minus 9 is 3, right? So here your contribution here is 5, and here your profit is 3. There's that extra 2. Right, that's the first step. The second step is to go in and prep um, profits under marginal costing. We are told that you sell 12,000 units. So it says here, well, plan is to sell 12,000 units. So what we see here, of course, are your 12,000 units that you're selling times the selling price of 12. 12 times 12 is 144. Put on the other 3 zeros. I'm really technically trying to work out a cost of sale, aren't I? So this is marginal costing. So I'll stick with the same principle. You have opening inventory. It tells us in the question your opening inventory is 2,000 units. It's 2,000 units times, of course, because we're dealing with marginal cost and we're only interested in the variable cost, times 7. And then you produced 15,000 units, 15,000 times 7, and your closing inventory, if you sold 12,000 units, and you started the day with 2,000, you bought in another 15,000, so that means you had 17,000 technically, right? And then if you sold 12, it means you have 5,000 left, doesn't it? 5,000 units. So your closing inventory, but I'll just change pen color just so that's very clear. Your closing inventory, of course, must be 5,000 units, mustn't it? Because 2 plus 15 minus 5 is equal to 12. So my cost of sales are, of course, the equivalent. This is the accruals concept in action. 12,000 minus 7 in effect. Yes, because that's 17. And so 12,000 minus 7, sorry, 12,000 times 7, that's 84,000, isn't it? 84,000. So of course, find the difference between these two, and then you get your contribution. So 144 minus 84, that is 60,000, isn't it? This is marginal costing, so fixed costs are period costs. The whole thing is whacked through at once, and so you have a fixed cost situation given to you of 30,000. So take off the 30,000 and you have profits of 30,000. Right, let's move quickly into the fixed situation where I keep saying fixed, full absorption costing. So we have a kind of similar at the top there, the same thing exactly, 12,000 times 12, which takes us to 144,000. That's there, that's nice. Then, but this time it's different, right? Because remember that the full absorption cost is 9. It's 9. So similar numbers, just the similar units, but different So what do we start off with? We start off with 2 times 9, and then we have the 15 times 9, and then of course we take off the 5, of course, times 9. That's kind of the point here. And when we do this, in effect, we have the same, really the same argument, which is really 12,000 times 9, don't we? And so 12,000 times 9 is 108,000, and when you take that away from 144,000, you have a profit of 36,000. So I highlighted really, so just following the order, which is quite nice. I'm quite happy they're giving that to us, where they're telling you to take the marginal profits of 30,000 and reconcile that to your profits of your full absorption costing profits of 36. Because you see, what we really see here is this, that we know that because with marginal costing, all the cost is going through that period. That's not quite the case. You have inventory carrying some of this overhead under full absorption costing going through into the next period, right? And what is that inventory? Well, it's the change in inventory because you start off with the period with 2,000 and you close with 5. So you have a 3,000 change in inventory, if you like, going into the next period. And that 3,000 change in inventory times it's carrying, it's basically taken away, dragged away that fixed overhead absorption of 2, which is going in each unit. Ordinarily, this would have gone through in marginal costing, all of this feeds through, but you've diverted it into the next period, if you like, and that's why you have that variance, because the inventory under IAS2 for full absorption costing asks you to absorb some of that overhead. Thus, if it's absorbed and it's in closing inventory does not get charged in that year. It shifts into the next year, thus relieving you. It's almost like a bit of a profit relief, so to speak, relieves you of charges in that year. But it will feature in the following year as a cost. And that's how we deal with that. Super. Great stuff.